Hey everyone! Welcome to today's video. I wanted to make a video just comparing all of the gold pens that I have, so that includes the gold gel pens as well as any brush markers and paint pens that I have. I thought that this video would be helpful for anyone who's looking for a good quality gold pen that will show up vividly on light and dark paper. I know that there are a lot of choices out there and it can be a little bit overwhelming, and if you prefer a specific tone to your gold pen, then perhaps this video could be useful or helpful for you. So I hope that you enjoy the video and find it helpful. So without further ado, then these are the gold pens that I have in my collection currently. So just to run through the pens real quick, this first one is the Sakura Jelly Roll Metallic Gel Pen. The next one is the Uni-Ball Signo Noble Metal Gold Metallic Gel Pen. This third one is the Zebra Sarasa Clip Decoshine Gold Gel Pen. Next is the Pentel Hybrid Dual Metallic Gel Pen in gold. And then we have the Sakura Jelly Roll Stardust Gel Pen in Golden Star. And then I have a Kuretake Zig Fudebiyori Brush Pen, and this is just in gold. I also have the Kuretake Zig Clean Color Dot in gold. Next, I have a paint pen from the brand Molotow, and it's the One for All acrylic gold paint pen. I also have the Archer & Olive Acrylograph gold paint pen. And last but not least is the Uni Posca Gold paint pen. Alright, so I'm first going to swatch out all of the pens in my B5 Notebook Therapy dotted journal. This has just white pages in it, so I think for comparison then I'll just go ahead and swatch it on the white pages first. Alright, so here are all of the gold pens swatched out. Let's go ahead and swatch them out on black paper and then just compare the final results at the end. So I recently picked up this B5 sized Scribbles That Matter blackout journal. It's just called their Starry Night journal, and it's just completely black. I wanted to pick this up just so that I can do all of my swatches on black paper in here and just keep them all together rather than using separate pieces of black dotted paper and pasting it into my Notebook Therapy one. Alright, so here are all of the pens swatched out. As you can see, we have a variety of different tones in the gold shades. I'll go ahead and just give my thoughts on the gel pens first. Starting with the finish of the gel pens, so as you can see, the first three gel pens, the Sakura Jelly Roll Metallic, the Uni-Ball Signo, and the Zebra Sarasa Decoshine, I'd say that those three have the traditional metallic finish to them, whereas the Pentel Hybrid and the Sakura Jelly Roll Stardust, they have more of that glitter or shimmer finish. Depending on what finish you'd like, if you prefer the traditional metallic finish or if you like the very sparkly, shimmery finish, then those would be something for you to consider first off. I will say that on white paper, then my favorite gold gel pen is actually the Pentel Hybrid, just because I really do love that very shimmery and glittery effect that it has on the white paper, but as you can see, it doesn't look completely solid and give off that foiled metallic finish that the top three give. I'd say that on dark paper, my favorite gel pens would actually be a tie between the Uni-Ball and the Zebra, just because I feel like they give off the most uniform look. As you can see, the Sakura Jelly Roll Metallic one, then the base and the actual pigment are starting to separate a little bit, so it's not writing as consistent as the other two pens are. In terms of tone, then I guess it just really depends on your personal preference. As you can see with the Sakura Jelly Roll Metallic, then it almost leans a little bit more copper compared to the other gold shades. So if you prefer that warmer gold, then that would be a good option. But keep in mind that because it does come in the 1.0 millimeter size, then it will produce thicker and bolder lines. So if that's something that you prefer, then that would be a good option for you. If you are preferring more of that yellowy gold, then the Uni-Ball Signo would be a good option. It also comes in the 0.8 millimeter size. So that is just a really good in-between size. So it's not too thick, nor is it too thin. So that would be a good option if you prefer a more yellowy finish. The Zebra Sarasa Decoshine is perfect for those of you who prefer more of like an antique gold, as well as for those of you who have smaller handwriting or prefer like a thinner line from your pens, then that would be a great option for you. So I just wanted to go ahead and include the Pentel Hybrid as well as the Sakura Jelly Roll Stardust, just because if you prefer more of that glitter or shimmery finish, then I just wanted to include it in this comparison for you. They do look very beautiful on white paper, but I don't feel like they truly give off that metallic shine on dark paper. So just something to keep in mind if you were interested in those. Moving on to the anomalies of this comparison, the brush pen and the dot marker. So they're both from the brand Kuretake. I would say that the colors are pretty much identical to one another, so if you prefer this antique look and you're only wanting to pick one of these up, then I guess it just ultimately depends on if you see yourself using a brush pen more. Do you do a lot of hand lettering, or do you prefer something with a little bit more variability with it, such as the dot marker, since that includes the spongy dot end as well as a 1.0 millimeter felt tip marker on the other side. One thing to note with the brush marker is that the brush itself is actually quite large and flexible, so I'd say that it's best used when you're wanting to write very large brush letters. It doesn't allow you to create very small letters, whereas the dot marker, then you don't have the ability to actually just brush letter, but you can always do faux calligraphy and you can change up whatever size you want. You have the ability to use the 1.0 millimeter felt tip end, or you can change up the size to whatever you'd like using the dot marker end. So there's that. And then moving right along into the paint markers, as you can see, then they're all slightly different tones of gold as well. I'd say that the Molotow is very comparable to the Kuretake. I'm not sure why they list it as a 1.5 millimeter size when it looks very comparable to the 0.7 millimeter ones from the Archer and Olive and Uni Posca. I'd ultimately say that they're all very close in terms of size. The Archer and Olive has a slightly warmer, almost coppery tone similar to the Sakura Jelly Roll Metallic. So if that's the gold that you prefer and you're wanting it in a paint pen form, then that would be a good option for you. And then the Uni Posca, I would say, is perhaps just a little bit more neutral. It's not quite as yellow as the Molotow. So excluding the glitter gel pens, if I were to categorize these in terms of tone, the Uni-Ball Signo, the two Kuretake markers, as well as the Molotow, then they all lean more towards that yellowy gold tone. The Sakura Jelly Roll Metallic, as well as the Archer and Olive, then they lean more towards that warm, almost coppery tone of gold. And then the Zebra Sarasa, Decoshine, as well as the Uni Posca, then they're more of that neutral antique gold. So just something to consider if that is ultimately what your preference is, and then you can also choose what size you'd like as well. But yeah, I guess in terms of favorites from each category, then I would say that the Zebra Sarasa Decoshine Gold is probably my favorite in terms of the gel pens. I think it just looks very uniform and consistent on both light and dark paper. And I typically prefer like a 0.5mm size, something a little bit on the finer end, just because I do prefer to write a little smaller. In terms of the glitter gel pens, then my preference would be the Pentel Hybrid over the Sakura Stardust. I do think that in terms of the two Kuretake markers, I would probably prefer the brush marker just because I think ultimately it does look more uniform compared to the dot marker. It does pool up wherever you lift your marker, which I don't notice with the brush marker, so I think I prefer that finish over the dot marker. And then in terms of the paint pens, I'd say that it's a tie between the Molotow and the Archer and Olive, and I'd say that these are all pretty affordable. I either got these all from jetpens.com or Amazon, so I feel like they are relatively easy to find. So yeah. Well, that does it for today's video. I really hope that you found it helpful and interesting. If there are any questions that weren't answered in this video, please do let me know. I would love to get back to you on those. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.